Hello? Yo, this is Leroy Jenkins. First time, long time. I want to know, why do you guys think there's a overproliferation of comic book spec, and why do people need to be first? Peace.
Well, welcome back to the Comic-Con podcast. Thank you, Leroy Jenkins. But to answer that question, I think you should head on over to the Lords of the Longbox channel with our man Tivo, who I think he'll actually answer that question for you. I am one of the hosts on the show, Justin, and coming all the way from Texas is my man Zach. Say what's up to everyone.
What's going on, everybody? You know, Leroy Jenkins, it might also help if you put that blunt down and you just kind of concentrate on what you're talking about next time you send that message over.
But again, thank you so much, Leroy, for the voice messages. Guys, that's exactly what we want to hear on the Comic-Con podcast. Of course, if you are listening to us on Spotify, Google Podcasts, or Apple iTunes, you can always send us emails or voice messages like that to the Comic-Con podcast at gmail.com. We welcome everyone back after the first episode. Really appreciate the support from last week's episode, as well as our man Zach here doing a Mute Monday. Nice little bonus segment for everyone. I hope everyone enjoyed that. So we're going to get right into episode 2. Some of the stuff that we're going to be talking about tonight, we have a couple of the community messages, so we're going to go through that. There is also something out there this week that Marvel put out regarding the Punisher, with a possible change in him, which is something that a lot of people have their decisions and what they think about it, or their thoughts. And then we do have of course, some Star Wars news about a new video game upcoming. And to round out the evening, or I should say day, if you're listening to this, is the Marvel Studios Legends Vision and Scarlet Witch. So that's coming. You guys are listening to this on Friday. You're probably already watching the show WandaVision. So we'll definitely be talking about that next week. But our first community message comes from Andres. So let's play it, and then we're gonna see the questions.
Hey guys, first off, I wanted to congratulate you on the new show. I really enjoyed the first episode, so I'm definitely looking forward to more from you. And I wanted to pick your guys' brain on something. So what are your thoughts on the Amazing Spider-Man run by Nick Spencer? Because me personally, I can't fucking stand it. I was reading it from the beginning. I was like 20 issues in. I'm like, I don't know where this is going. It's dragging on too much. So I stopped, and there's no way I'm going to get back on it until he's off of it. I hear people say it's good, it's getting better, but that's what they said before, and it didn't get better. So that's just my opinion, but what are your guys' thoughts?
First off, I'd like to say, like Justin mentioned about the sending these voice messages, when I see that we get a ding on the email, I get super excited, and it's fun listening to these. It's like Christmas morning kind of.
Yeah, definitely. So our man Zach, you're really the Marvel guy here. So I definitely want you to kind of speak more on this than I will. What do you think about what Andrew said? About the Nick Spencer run.
So let me preface this by saying this might piss a lot of people off. I'm not really a Spider-Man fan. First off, I don't hate Spider-Man. I just don't really collect and read a ton of Spider-Man. I kind of find the character pretty boring. It's just not my thing. But I tried. Like when Nick Spencer came on, it was a new number 1. I was like, okay, let's jump on. We'll try reading this. And I'm with Andres here, man. I read issues 1 through 10. And I stopped. I basically only read to 10 so that I could get like a 1 through 10 that I could list on eBay and sell them easier to get rid of them.
Because we had so long with Dan Slott, right?
Right.
He was doing Amazing Spider-Man. He did the Superior Spider-Man. He came back and did another 2 runs of Amazing Spider-Man. His run with Spider-Man has been forever. You really needed that fresh new vibe. So yeah, everybody I think checked out a brand new number 1, and it's always a good starting point. New artist, new writer.
And it's like Dan Slott, Dan Slott has a lot of haters as well. I kind of like to describe, and I read a lot of Dan Slott stuff. I feel like his Spider-Man run was like a roller coaster. It had its highs and it had its lows. The Superior Spider-Man stuff was a high, man. That was awesome. Like I think everyone loved the Superior Spider-Man stuff, but there were moments where he dipped and it kind of fell off. The Nick Spencer run, it's been a while, like I said, since I read it. Obviously, we're on issue
57, I think we're on.
Oh, yeah, 55 just came out, right? Yeah. That was the big hot one, yeah. Yep. So I stopped at 10, so that was a while ago. and it just was slow, man. It was goofy. It was once again Spider-Man not doing anything and being lame and poor and just whack. And so, but the big thing with this run was the setup from the jump was this new villain, Kindred, who, I'm assuming people have read it. And if you haven't read it, maybe this will encourage you to read it. I don't know the ins and outs of the story, but eventually Kindred ends up being revealed as I'm not going to spoil, as a major Spider-Man character. Okay. So, which there isn't many of them. So you could probably narrow it down pretty easily, but that was kind of the slow burn, it feels like, of Nick Spencer's run. So I guess an Andre's question is, if I were to tell you, nah, don't read it. Maybe wait till it comes out in trade. Maybe if you collect omnis, like pick up an omnibus format of it, maybe read it digitally. I wasn't feeling it. I can't imagine Nick Spencer is going to stay with it. And honestly, on that topic too, I saw someone post something. Did you see how Donnie Cates posted recently about big news coming? Did you see that with the Venom emblem on Instagram?
What, that he's going to die or?
No. He posted a picture of the Venom emblem, and he said, like, big announcement coming next week. And I think that was earlier this week. And I saw someone else post this. Now, I'm not saying this is true. I'm just saying that I saw someone else post this on Instagram or something. Some people are specking that maybe he's taking over Amazing Spider-Man. So who knows? I mean, Marvel's kind of given keys to the kingdom to Donnie Cates lately. So anyway, answer the question. Nah, don't read that garbage.
Yeah. And again, I didn't read too much of it, and I'm just going to piggyback a little bit on what Zach said. I definitely read the first few issues. I'm not really a big Marvel guy, but I did pick up what was it, Craven's, not last hunt, because that was a long time ago, but Craven
next big hunt after the last
hunt.
It
was whatever it was. That was all right. But that's for 55 issues, really, that's the only thing that I can think of that was anything good in that whole, out of all the story arcs, other than, like you said, Kindred, which they introduced him so early, and then they brought him, they made a big thing about it, and then he was gone for so long, and then they brought him back for something. So yeah, like you said, maybe we'll get Donnie Cates on, and who knows? I think as far as art goes, Pat Gleason is a great artist. He was great in DC, doing Batman and Robin on the New 52. I absolutely loved his Super Son stuff. So yeah, we'll see where it goes on that. To stick with the Marvel stuff, Zach's got a nice little article in here to talk about Marvel's Punisher. So Zach, what do we got for Marvel's Punisher issue?
Yeah, so there's been a lot of issues right now. Obviously, unless you're living under a rock right now, it's a very politically charged world currently. And during, the summertime, we had a lot of issues with law enforcement and things going on in the country. And it's kind of like, carrying over to the Punisher. We all know Punisher was an ex-cop who is basically a vigilante who is killing bad guys now. Okay. What's kind of going on now is Marvel is talking about and considering hanging up the guns, I guess, if you will, for the Punisher character right now. Now, do I think it'll be forever if they decide to do this? No. I mean, this is a mainstream character. I think maybe they're just trying to ride out the political backlash and the environment right now in the country. But, don't forget, they also hung up the Fantastic Four for like 2 or 3 years and didn't do anything with them. So that's Marvel's first family. So should you be surprised? No, I don't think so. But the big issue here is the use of the skull icon, the skull Punisher symbol. Okay.
And that's iconic. Come on. Jerry Conway made that,
iconic.
and that thing is iconic. Everybody knows what it is when you see it on a shirt. You don't think of anything else other than the Punisher if you're a comic book guy.
And it's been taken, let's not act like this is something that happened recently either. Okay. This has been used by law enforcement. This has been used by military for the past decade, 2 decades. Guys overseas, if we got any military army guys in here, I'm sure you probably had a Punisher patch on your Kevlar over there on your vests. So it has really been used by law enforcement and military for a long time. But it also can be used negatively, So I actually want to touch base on the most recent run we had was by Matt Rosenberg of the Punisher, which honestly was amazing. Like, I really, really liked this Matt Rosenberg run. So it may be the only Punisher we get for a while. So if you're looking to read any, go back and check this out. But I want to kind of talk about issue 13, where this issue gets actually addressed. So Punisher, paint the scene for you. Punisher's walking through New York, and some cops come up on him and tell him to freeze. They're out there looking for him, and they see that he's bleeding. And then they realize who he is when his shirt kind of opens up and they see the emblem. So these cops take a picture of him and mention that they have like a group and a club that they are, kind of more or less honoring him and following his lead. And they even have the Punisher symbol or emblem sticker on their car. And I'm going to read you word for word what the Punisher tells them. He says, "I'll say this once. We're not the same. You took an oath to uphold the law. You help people. I gave all that up a long time ago. You don't do what I do. Nobody does. You boys need a role model. His name is Captain America, and he'd be happy to have you." So he basically goes on and tells them, knock this off. You don't want to see me again. And he says, if I find out you were trying to do what I do, I'll come for you next. So even the Punisher is condemning this. He was a cop. He's a failed cop, though. He betrayed the oath. He had some trauma in his life, obviously, but he went against it, and this actually hits very close to home for me. I have a very strong connection to law enforcement, and it's been a rough year for law enforcement. And
absolutely,
I don't know. I think my issue with this is, and damn, man, try not to get like super political on this podcast, but there's a lot of censorship going on right now in this country, and I never think it's good. And this isn't a real character. Honestly, chill the fuck out. Like, everyone needs to chill the fuck out. This is not a real character. If you're idolizing the Punisher and he's your role model, you got mental issues probably.
That's pretty bad.
Yeah, you need to go talk to someone probably. I mean, let's just be like, if you have any kind of fictional character hang up, like probably take a step back, see a therapist about this. But
come on, look at all the people who, obviously I'm a big Batman guy. I love Red Hood, but they're not people I idolize in the fiction world. Like, they're great characters. Harley Quinn. Look at all these people. They're insane at some point. You don't look up to them. He said it best. If you want to look up to somebody, look up to Captain America. Kind of, even that's like a throwback. What you just read, we're doing comic book story time with Zach. Is that brought me back to the Dark Knight in the opening scene where you have those guys who come in and try to stop Scarecrow, and Batman comes in, beats up the guys, and he's like, "Oh, what's the difference between you and me?" And he's like, "Oh, I'm not the guy in hockey.
I'm not wearing shoulder pads
or hockey pads." That's exactly what it is. Like, there's always those fascist groups out there that want to idolize somebody, whether again it's political or not. And in the comic book world, that's what they did in that issue in Punisher. But it's what are they going to do? Are they going to get rid of the Punisher, like you said, like they did with Fantastic Four for a while, or is this just going to just go away in like 2 months? Like, does anybody really care?
I don't know. Look, man, I'm very pro law enforcement, and to quickly touch on the things that happened this summer and this year, there are some bad cops out there, just like there's some bad dentists, just like there's some bad Walmart greeters. There's bad people, bad doctors. There's bad people in every walk of life. Does it touch a little bit closer to home when it's a law enforcement, people who, swore oaths and are supposed to be out here to protect you? Yes, of course. And I'm all for sticking it to bad cops and people who make a wrong choice. But these people who actually are wearing this emblem and stuff, it's because it's cool. Honestly, the skull is cool. I don't know what to tell you.
I see a lot of people at the gym wearing it before COVID, man. That was, that's a shirt. People wear that. People wear the Superman symbol. So
if you don't want people to wear it,
it's cool.
Don't make cool shit. Then maybe that's the problem. Maybe we should stop making cool shit and people will stop wearing it. So
exactly. So
anyway,
but and again, the guys, that's just something to think about. It was, posted up on the internet this week regarding what's going on with the Marvel logo. So we don't want to really touch too much on this because this is not a political podcast. This is a comic book podcast. So guys, get back into some of the community messages. Our next one's coming from Kevin. He goes, "Hey guys, I am glad you started this podcast. I have always trusted the advice from you guys regarding spec books and the like. I do have a couple questions for you guys." He goes, "Thoughts on the disorganization at DC Comics and what seems to be the bloodbath with the employees? How long until Jim Lee is fired? I would hate to see DC Comics fail, but it seems like AT&T doesn't care about the printed comic. Jeff Johns left for Image and now possibly Fayback." I'll take this one, Zach. Jim Lee, I just can't see them getting rid of him. He is kind of now like their golden boy. If you looked at the Trinity that was DC Comics for 15 years, it was Dan DiDio, Jim Lee, and Jeff Johns. As far as even the Fayback thing, I was looking at some articles online, and someone asked him back in June of 2020. June 26, 2020, he said, hey, Jason, so pumped for 3 Jokers, any other projects in the works? And, Jason replied, he said, 2 more plus a few rough ideas. We've been using the shutdown wisely and preparing the future. Now, that was in June of last year, but now an article just got posted not too long ago. It was on Bleeding Cool on January 9th. It says 3 Jokers sequel, not yet. Jason Fayback took non-DC work instead. So kind of going to read the article. Jason Fayback has been showing off his new work on Instagram, and it's not what you may expect. Bleeding Cool scooped the news back in October that Jeff Johns and Jason Fayback were working on a sequel to their uber successful Batman 3 Joker series, but for now, you're going to have to wait. It does go into showing a picture of what Jason posted on Instagram. You may not see for a while, but it's my future, and it's going to be incredible. 3 Jokers has freed me from the grind, and now I can focus on quality and draw what I want. Can't wait until the day that I can show you all the project of 2021. A lot of other stuff previous to, he was rushed and forced work by DC, which I hated. Now I can do what I want with my time and focus on books I actually wanted to draw and have say in, quotes Jason Fayback. Not now, but maybe in the future sometime. I don't really have the desire to do a crowdfunding and put up with the printing and selling, etc. I just want to draw and focus on that. But I do see drawing towards, so maybe one day, or a hybrid like Tony Daniels or Keanu Reeves did. But DC is poorly run. It took 6 months to get back to us on our pitch, so I took work elsewhere. And that's quoted from Jason Fayback. If you guys don't know, Jason Fayback was a DC artist. He did work on such titles as Batman, Detective Comics, Suicide Squad, Batman Eternal, and that's where I was going to go. Justice League, and of course 3 Jokers. But being a DC guy, I absolutely loved his Justice League Darkseid Wars.
Oh my God, his art is phenomenal.
Yeah, he is a great artist. I think whatever his project is past the 3 Joker stuff is going to be phenomenal. What is it? Nobody knows, but that's the thing. With all the issues that DC Comics is having, who knows? What are they going to get? You're going to either lose the artists and the writers that you have. They used to have the plethora of great stuff. You still have Scott Snyder writing. You have James Tinney in there. You have Capullo, backing up Snyder. But back in the day, you had great people with the New 52 run. Look at all the people that you had under. You had Jeff Lemire, you had Snyder, Tinney, and you had
Fabian Nicieza. How do you say his name?
Oh yeah, I know who. What did he write?
Didn't he do Hawkman, or was that Liefeld?
No, that was Liefeld on that.
He did Red Hood then, I think, or Grifter. I don't know. He was there writing something.
You had Azarillo, doing a lot of stuff as well. I mean, that New 52, those writer and artists teams were so good.
Oh man!
And now, with the changing of the Rebirth and just, who knows? They're kind of just, they've gotten away from like those big king names in the art industry, and all of them are going to the indie stuff. And that's why I've kind of stopped reading a lot of Marvel and DC. I read a lot more indie stuff just because it's their own stuff. They own it. I really enjoy it. But what are your thoughts on the whole DC blow up, Zach?
I think Fayback put it. Fayback. How do you say?
Oh, yeah. he's Canadian, so he could say it Fabouk. I don't know.
So yeah. So I think he put it right. He's like, what did he say? It's kind of a shit show over there, basically.
Yeah, 6 months.
And that doesn't surprise me. I mean, there's been a lot of turmoil. We kind of touched on it a little bit, not really too much when we talked about Future State, but Future State's a great example. You have all these titles come out, and I'm trying to think on the top of my head, and I'm probably going to get corrected on this, but none of those names that you just named, none of the big writers at DC are writing Future State. It's almost like they brought in all new writers, all lesser known people to kickstart this Future State thing. So, but like these guys still got to work, I mean, they still got to do something. So, I don't blame them for going somewhere else. And the AT&T stuff, there's been rumors, man. I mean, there's been rumors that AT&T's like, look, we just want the intellectual property. We want to own it. And Screw the printed product, they tried to do that whole push, remember, not too long ago about they were going to go online and go like completely digital, and that fell through. I don't know, man. It's a mess over there. Everything they try falls through, I feel like.
Yeah, there's definitely there's some issues over there. Hopefully with 2021 is a different year after Future State. A lot of the titles, like we said last week, they'll be coming back in March after this 2-month hiatus. And what is you really don't know? Is the 2-month hiatus, like you said, they brought in a lot of new artists and writers to do these books? Is it kind of like their show off period to be like, well, maybe they did a good job and they can be a mainstream artist on some title, and then give them maybe like a C or D level character to work their way up, and have the big name writers kind of having their, take a little bit of a vacation and really regenerate themselves, get the new titles out, come in March, April, May, as it goes forward.
Right. It could be. I mean, it could also, like the plus is, if you listen to our episode last week, if not, go back and do that. And the Future State is this alternate world. So if these characters hit, if Yara Flores hits, this Wonder Woman character, the next Batman, if they hit, they can have spinoffs. They can have limited series, and these characters. I mean, it's not a bad idea for DC. It's like, hey, let's test drive these characters. We got a 2-month period. If they suck, you'll never see them again. If they hit, you will see them again. And, like you said, maybe they're giving their writers and their artists a break. I feel like maybe we're being a little optimistic thinking that. I think there's probably a lot more going on behind the scenes, and there's a fucking guillotine over there. Chopping
I think
heads
it's
off.
so far. I mean, only what is it? We've been 2 weeks. I don't know what you've read this week, but I've liked Future's End better now in 2 weeks than I did with all the titles that they did. Remember Future's End?
Right.
I mean, I didn't like any of those one-shot stories, even though they were pretty much the characters in just the future, and I really didn't like any of those stories. But Future State, I think, is good so far.
So far, I've read this week. I read Robin Eternal, Superman, Wonder Woman, Teen Titans, and Dark Detective. And I'm going to read the other ones. These are just the ones I purchased.
Yeah, I did read Robin Eternal, and I did read
a lot of Teen Titans hype.
Yeah, the Teen Titans was very interesting. That last page was definitely interesting. I didn't get a chance to read the other ones, but as the days go on, I definitely we'll check that out. And Kevin did send in a second question, and it is it's right up my alley. He goes, secondly, as I know Justin is beaming with Star Wars hotness right now, do you think graphic novels like the new release from Screen Comics of the Clone Wars will explode in value as well? Keep up the good work, Kevin. If you guys don't know, I did post a picture of that Screen Comics Clone Wars on my Instagram. You can find me Nemesis_Prime on Instagram. I did post it a while back, maybe not even like a month ago. I did pick up a couple copies. I did tell people to go out there and get it. You know what? If it's anything like the Bo-Katan book, it could blow up. Why? It is the first comic book appearance or first appearance in comics, because it even says it is the show in comic book format is of the Bad Batch. And we're recording this on January 13th. CBSI, if you guys don't know, comicbookinvest.com, they did post an article today about true firsts. And one of the things they did post was this thing called Star Wars Tales from the Clone Wars webcomic. This came out in 2010. It was a 157-page comic book where all the comics were done digitally, but then they printed it together in 2010. And it really has a lot of first appearances. The main ones are first Cad Bane. It has first canon Ahsoka Tano, canon Ahsoka Tano, Sasha Ventress, Captain Rex. Does have the origin of General Grievous and the first time he's in mass, just to name a few things. So it's like 6 or 7 different comics all in one, and it is a smaller format. So that thing, I'll tell you right now, I was looking on one website. It was like going for $30. I looked at eBay sales on January, or actually the end of December. Those books were selling for $30 because nobody probably knew what they were. Today, somebody had it up for $600 or best offer, signed by Dave Filoni, and it sold. What it sold for, I don't know, but it did sell. And then another one, I'll tell you, I was watching one just because the guy had it up at $425 or best offer. And within a half hour, he upped his asking to $625.
Damn.
Because this article dropped, which is insane. So to Kevin's question, I definitely think those Screen Comics could become something in future because, if you bought in early, just like what is it, Bo-Katan's first appearance, the Defenders of the Lost Temple, which is a small little Dark Horse book. That's her big book. That thing blew up. So you never know with these Screen Comics. So
safe bet is anything Star Wars is going to be hot.
Yeah, that's what it is right now. Anything, prices are going crazy for characters who I don't think we'll ever see in any type of medium. But I'm just a podcaster. I don't know, right, Zach?
Yeah,
but I don't write the books.
You have some credentials on. I don't think I know anyone who's picked up more Afro books than you, and you've had a line on a lot of these characters before. A lot of people were picking them up. So, and I'm going to be super pissed if you're wrong. You got me buying up a bunch of these books right now. I'm sitting on like 6 of one first appearance of this character.
Yeah,
hasn't cost me much, but
we'll definitely talk about that. Maybe I'll do some type of bonus segment, or we'll talk about it on next week's episode. And to stick with some Star Wars news, guys, I'm really, really excited about this. If you aren't really big into gaming, I apologize, but Lucasfilms Games teams up with Ubisoft to create a new open world Star Wars game. Now, we haven't really seen a huge open world type of Star Wars game where you can semi go anywhere, since you got games like Knights of the Republic.
Yeah,
you got Star Wars Galaxies was the first MMO computer game, and then right now you still have Star Wars The Old Republic, which is still playable. And I know our man Sith Lordly, he still plays, and I swear to God, man, if I had a better looking computer that could run video games, I would probably be playing that too, because
I played with them a little bit. I got on there and dabbled, but then I kind of got busy and I stopped playing. But it was cool. I mean, it's like, any MMO. Star Wars.
But it's Star Wars. So it changed. It's not like a fantasy thing. But so this article comes from the direct.com. This was taken right on January 13th. So Star Wars is set to embrace a brand new chapter in both TV and movie branches, respectively. But their video games division is also following the lead. Lucasfilms announced a recent rebranding effort for its game publishing efforts by establishing a new name in the form of Lucasfilm Games. The aforementioned title will serve as the company's branding moving forward, promising more reveals down the line to effectively tell more stories in the realm of gaming. In addition, this new venture also provides more opportunities for Lucasfilms to develop more partnerships with other studios. Not much is known from Lucasfilms, which will start revealing more projects, but the company unveiled that it will be keeping an eye towards, quote, towards the future. Now, it seems that the first step has surfaced recently since the announced of Lucasfilms Games. And again, we do have the confirmation that they did enter their partnership with Ubisoft Games. Now, if you guys don't know, Ubisoft has made games such as Assassin's Creed, which is a phenomenal franchise. So
it's kind of like Dan Slott, though. We got a roller coaster of ups and downs on that.
Oh yeah, well, I agree. But an open world Star Wars game is definitely something that I think we need.
Oh yeah,
right. I would play it. I played.
I'll play it.
If it's anything like a Grand Theft Auto, or I'm trying to think what I'm playing right now. Oh, I'm playing Cyberpunk 2077. If it's anything like that, but Star Wars, where I can walk around and, will it be on one planet? Will it be on multiple planets? Who knows? But
I imagine at that point, you and I will be playing together, and this will turn into a Twitch, and we will be simulcasting or what's going on there. I'm happy to. I want it. I want to see the open world. The open world games are the best. They're a lot of fun. Ubisoft, okay, we'll see how it goes. I would be like through the roof if it was someone like Bethesda or Rocksteady or someone like that. But hey, I'll take what I can get.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Here's a quote from the co-founder and CEO of Ubisoft. He explained that the Star Wars Galaxy is an amazing source of motivation for our teams to innovate and push the boundaries of our medium, building new worlds, characters, and stories that will become lasting parts of the Star Wars lore is an incredible opportunity for us. And we are excited to have our Ubisoft massive studio working closely with Lucasfilms Games to create an original Star Wars adventure that is different from anything that has been done before. Now, we're used to EA always putting out the Star Wars game. We just had in 2019 we had Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, which both you and I have played.
Oh yeah,
absolutely loved it. Now, are we going to get a Jedi Fallen Order 2 from EA, or is that kind of done?
I don't know. That was so here's my thing too, and you mentioned it when you were talking also. It's tricky though. Like, I'm not trying to like scare them off, and I'm sure they're not listening to this podcast anyway, and my opinion probably doesn't carry that much weight, unfortunately. But it gets tricky because right now the Star Wars lore and canon is clean. It's very, very clean. So you put this game in there, because even Jedi Fallen Order is canon.
Yes.
And so that was a very clean, self-contained story as well. But you start doing this MMO where, everyone's paying subscription fees or however it's going to be or whatever. And you got to do expansions and you up the lore and you up the missions and you do all this stuff. What era is it going to take place in? Maybe this is, actually, as I'm talking, maybe I'm thinking we got High Republic in comics. Maybe this is what they do. Maybe they do Old Republic. Maybe that's where it shows up. It's not going to be the new stuff. It's not going to be any of the Skywalker saga. So maybe you go far back and you go Old Republic, and that's when you do it. And Sith and Jedi are, prevalent everywhere.
We talked about this. We talked about this on our first episode. That we
exactly.
See a time where if you can be a Sith, you can be a Jedi. Right now the only thing you can play is that Star Wars Old Republic video game on the PC. But if you could have an open world game on the consoles, PlayStation 4, 5, Xbox Series X. Maybe go that route, because they said that they want to create characters. So creating characters back, older than the Skywalker saga, or in between the High Republic and the Phantom Menace, because there is 200 years in between that time, based on what we've seen for the High Republic. So
yeah, and even like the little missions and the lore and all the quests and whatever this game is. God, we're even talking about it like it exists, and it doesn't.
I know we want this now, and it's probably won't happen until 2023, or
it could tease things. Like people could be like, "Oh man, we really loved that backstory of that character and the mission that we did." Maybe it's like it's really popular in the game, and Disney or is like, "Ooh, okay." Just kind of like what I said with Future State, their test drive stuff. Okay, we'll test drive these characters and these things, and what hits we'll develop and we'll branch off on. If it doesn't hit, you'll never see it again.
Yeah, pretty much.
Hey, more Star Wars, bro. That's all.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'll take more Star Wars games.
Yeah.
All right, guys, on to our last article of the evening. If you guys don't know, Disney Plus puts out a ton of new series on a weekly, bi-weekly basis. And if you're not going under the tab where it shows new stuff to Disney Plus, you actually miss a lot of stuff. Last week, they did put out the Marvel Studios Legends. It's the first two episodes. The first two episodes are kind of, gearing you for WandaVision if you're watching it this week or holding off. So the one episode, they're both about 6-7 minutes long. First one's about Scarlet Witch, and then the second one is about Vision. Both Zach and I talked about this just before we went live to record this, so we really don't know each other's thoughts on it. But to give everybody, and this is really not a spoiler about either of these things. It pretty much is a recap of from the time that you first see the characters, kind of giving them a recap on what movies they've been in.
It's a synopsis of like the high points of their character and like their character arc. They're only 7 minutes long, so you can sit down for 7 minutes and watch it. It's no big deal.
Yeah, because you got you have. The problem is, I think, with both of them is they both first appeared in the same movie. So there's not a movie that they're both not in yet.
There's definite overlap in both their little Legends vision shows. I almost said Visions. Yeah. It's almost like you're watching the same thing twice, unfortunately, but
it definitely does. Other than, you have prior to Vision being created, you have where Scarlet Witch is working with Ultron, and then you have the flip side where the good guys finally get Vision. But you get Civil War in there, you get the two Avengers, Infinity War, and what's the other one? Endgame.
Right.
But yeah, it's definitely an overlap. I think it was done terribly. I think it was rushed. If they continue to do these for Falcon and Winter Soldier, I really think they could have done a better job. They could have done showing you the recap, but also showing you their comics, like when they first appeared, maybe something they've done and they've done in the comic books. I mean, you're a big Marvel guy. They could have, I don't know if they could really talk about too much of House of M, because then that's giving away, but they could show off like when she first appeared, where they could even showed off the Vision and Scarlet Witch mini series that they had in the 80s. The two series that they had.
Yeah, it's cool. It was, I'm with you. I'm not too upset about it because, like I said, it's got a 7-minute runtime, so I can sit through 7 minutes. Yeah, so it's really not too bad. But I feel like maybe part of this is, keep in mind there's been a massive gap in time since we've had anything MCU. So Spider-Man Far From Home was the last MCU we got. We haven't seen these characters since Endgame, so it is kind of probably like a recap. Like, hey, look, we've been gone for a minute now. This is the WandaVision highlight reel and the Vision highlight reel. And then, yeah, like you said, I'm sure they're going to do a Falcon and Bucky highlight reel as well. But it would be cool. It'd be cool to throw up a couple like first appearance issues. You don't got to say anything like, boom, here's his first appearance or whatever. Here's what it looked like in the comic format. That'd be kind of cool.
You know, if you look at the logo, you know, it kind of shows off all the different characters that have been in there. But, you know, like Zach said, if they continue to do this, maybe expand on it a little bit. I'm sure they got a lot of feedback from it. Again, it's 7 minutes. If you kind of just want a big recap that you don't have to watch all these movies.
Right.
But, you know, just show something, like show what the characters look like in the comic book, you know, give people an idea of, you know, where they came from, maybe when they first came out. Again, you know, it's just something to throw a little info in there, a bio or something. Not even that, right?
You know, I will say the Scarlet Witch one, it was a little, I was like, damn, she's had a rough go of it. Like, it was a little sad, like following her recap, you know, like
I forgot a lot of Age of Ultron, like the beginning parts where her and Quicksilver are in it. I don't think I've watched that one as much as I've watched all the other movies, you know, throughout the Marvel. I feel like that one is never on TV or on anything.
Yeah, it was on, was it TNT? I think TNT had them for a while, and it was on TNT a little bit, but then I think it got caught in that phase where they stopped showing their stuff because they were like, hey, look, we got Disney Plus coming down, so let's stop. Don't extend any contracts with anyone because they knew what was going on. You know, they're years ahead of us, so they're pulling all their shit. But, you know, yeah, I think it was on TNT a little bit, and you know, a lot of people don't like Age of Ultron. I didn't mind it. I
didn't mind it. I think they could.
It's not the best, but yeah,
definitely. So, guys, you know, that was the Marvel Studio Legends. Again, you can check that out if you haven't watched WandaVision yet. Zach, what are your thoughts? Because we'll definitely be talking about episode 1 next week. You know, what are you kind of looking forward to? Hoping any surprises? You know, what do you think?
So, I don't know. You know, I'm looking for. What I want out of WandaVision is some lasting, which I think we'll get. I think we've seen this with Marvel. I want lasting, like storylines. I want it to matter. I want what we see to matter. You know what I mean? We know that we're getting Monica Rambeau, so that's going to be cool. They recently, I saw they had like her sword, Monica Rambeau, Agent of Sword, is what Marvel Studios is like showing her as. So she works for Sword. So this is actually going to be like the first appearance of Sword as well. Yeah. So that's cool. I guess what I want, I could sit here and talk for like 30 minutes on what I want, but absolutely what I want mutants. Get me to the mutants. We all know Scarlet Witch was originally a mutant, and because of the MCU, Marvel Comics came back and retconned all that and changed her and Quicksilver into not being mutants, and no Magneto connection anymore. I'm sure we won't get a Magneto connection. That's probably too much to ask for, but she's got the powers. Let's introduce the mutants. That's what I want.
I would like actually to see if Quicksilver makes an appearance.
Oh, like a cameo flashback. I mean, that makes sense.
If they're not even like a cameo, world. Maybe like, because every episode is from, if you guys have seen trailers on it, every episode is a different year or different decade. So even just him to be a character, and maybe if she doesn't recognize him, that was his brother, that's her brother, just to be in the episode as like a cool little cameo. Yeah, you know, throw in different teases. Maybe he could even show up in like 2 or 3 different episodes, just as like a very minor role. Would be really interesting to see. Of course, at the end, I'm sure it's somehow gonna, the season's gonna end, because I really think this is just a limited series. It's gonna end, and it's gonna somehow float into Doctor Strange, because you know, she's supposed to be very prominent in that movie as well with other characters. So
it is cool. We're seeing we'll see Agent Jimmy Woo from Ant-Man coming back. We see Darcy Lewis from the Thor 1 and 2, and then Monica Rambeau, and then Catherine Hahn's character is, you know, she's named as Agnes. But I kind of feel
Yeah.
like, she might end up being someone else.
Yeah.
But it would be strange to not have Quicksilver. If she's having some kind of a mental break, which is what it kind of seems like, and we all know from the comics, this bitch is always having a mental break, bro. Like, fuck. So, yeah, it would be weird for him not to show up somehow.
Yeah, would be interesting.
That'd be cool.
Oh, guys, let me know what your thoughts are. You could leave us comments on Instagram. You could always send us some emails. Of course, we appreciate everybody checking out the episode. We really appreciate the support in this. Of course, you can send us any of your voicemails or emails to the Comic-Con podcast at gmail.com. Of course, you can hear us on Spotify, iTunes, and Google Podcasts, or directly right on Anchor. You can click on our website link right on Instagram at the Comic-Con podcast and follow us on any of our social media sites. We do, future stuff just to let you guys know. As we grow, we definitely are going to be doing a live show here and there, and our live show will be on our YouTube channel. It is up and running. There are no subscribers yet, but as we get to that point, we will definitely let you know when we want to run some live stuff. So for me, really excited. This will be dropping on Friday, January 15th. Really excited to be seeing the first episode of WandaVision. Zach, anything you got left?
No, yeah, Justin covered most of it. Hit that email. Tell us what you want to hear. I dropped the Mutant Monday. It'll probably be something I keep going. It may not be every week. It's kind of going to depend on if I got topics that I feel like are worth talking about or whatnot. But if you have something mutant related as well that you would like me to talk about, send it my way, send it our way. If you'd like to see more segments, like Justin mentioned as well, he was talking about he might do a little something about some potential Star Wars spec. If you want something like that, anything. Honestly, we're so early in this podcast development that this can be designed to what you want. And that's what we would like to do. So
yeah, we appreciate the emails we got.
It's awesome. So anything you want to hear, please let us know. Different segments, stuff like that. We have a lot of ideas and we're planning on doing some things as well. So, but we're just kind of, slow rolling it right now and trying to get going. But yeah, love the feedback that we've been getting and really appreciate all the listeners so far. Please tell your friends and anyone else.
Yep. All right, guys, we're out of here for episode 2. We will see you back here next week. Peace out.
Later.